started, I am Andy Newton. I'm the director of the Science and Math Institute. I know most of you know me. This is our inaugural offering of this fall. We're doing these STEM diversity socials. And the goal of these is to get you guys a little more familiar with some of the wonderful things that happen at both CSUMB and UC Santa Cruz. The grant that supports this activity, one of the goals of it is to get more STEM transfers to UC Santa Cruz and CSUMB. And we're finding we don't have quite as many Hartnell students going to our two regional universities. The reasons are a little different at both of the institutions. They're both fine institutions. So what we're going to do on Fridays now is probably rotate. This is a CSUMB presentation, then a Santa Cruz, and then another CSUMB. And we're doing them early because, as you all know, when you get to November, what time is it? Time to apply. So that's about the time you'd be making the decisions of where you're going to apply. If you're transfer ready. If you're not transfer ready, you want to know as much as you can about the programs and services and find out what college is a fit for you. So first of all, the mover and shaker behind making all the arrangements for these STEM diversity socials is Dr. Brooke Hay. So it's kind of He goes, Andy, you need to introduce the speakers. And I said, why? You're the one who did all the work. But it's a good concept. What we're trying to do is have what we call at both of the schools more of a living learning community. So those of you know that we have a lot of engineering students that transfer to Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. And why do so many of our students transfer to Cal Poly San Luis Obispo in engineering? Other than the reason that it's an excellent engineering school. There's another reason they transfer in masses to Cal Poly San Luis Obispo if they can get in. Anybody know why? The weather, nice, big, fun town, not too far away, yeah. There are hordes of Hartnell students down there, so they reassemble the learning community, room together, share expenses, study. So all the things that you guys do together in the Mesa room or the Rotarium or the Science and Math Institute or in the clubs or outside the college, they reassemble down there and support each other. And that's what we're trying to build with our two regional universities. So that's really the underlying purpose of this STEM diversity social. So our first speaker is Cassie Martin. Cassie. And Cassie is a computer science major, is that right? Okay, not IT? No, CS?
CSIT.
CSIT, okay. Computer science, information technology. She's doing an internship through their Undergraduate Research Opportunity Center. She had kind of an interesting path this summer. Is Cassie, we interviewed and we chose Cassie to be our STEM internship student coordinator for the big cohort of 89 students we had in research internships. And so she had an office over at the Naval Postgraduate School because that's where most of our, the biggest cohort of interns are, 28. But then she couldn't help herself. She had to go and do a research project too in computer science. So she actually ended up splitting her time between coordination and doing an internship. So she had a very busy summer. And now she's been picked up by UROC, and she'll start classes at CSUMB
3 weeks ago.
3 weeks ago. Okay, that's right. My mind's on the quarter system. Okay, so anyway, and so Cassie is going to talk about
My summer.
her summer. Okay, so let's have a hand for Cassie.
So hi everyone, like Andy said, my name is Cassie and I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about myself and how I ended up at CSUMB and what my summer was like. So about me. So I graduated North High here in Salinas in 09. I attended Hartnell College from 09 to just recently this past spring. I came to Hartnell thinking I was going to be a nursing major. I decided like a semester into Hartnell that it just wasn't for me. I didn't know what I really wanted to do, and I had a teacher push me a lot to take a computer class. So I decided why not take a computer class. I did really good. I took more and then another one. And then finally I said, you know, I like it. I like this. I'm good at it. I got good grades. So I decided I was going to be a computer science major. I did 3 years here at Hartnell, and then I transferred over to CSUMB, and I'm currently there, and my emphasis is networking and security. So, Science 124 is a class that's offered here at Hartnell during the spring. Science 124 is a big part of why I am where I am now. So, like Andy said, I got chosen to be a coordinator for this internship program. When being in the class and being the coordinator gave me exposure to MPS, which is where I did my internship. So here at the top, I have like a before and after picture that was taken. So at the top, it's the beginning of the summer where all the interns that were selected to intern at MPS kind of went to interview with their mentors. And then at the end here, this next picture, it's them with their checks at the symposium just like a couple weeks ago. So being at MPS and having the opportunity to have an internship opened a lot of doors for me. I think it's been an amazing experience, and I look forward to staying there for the following like 2-3 years. Okay, so MPS. For those of you who don't know, MPS stands for the Naval Postgraduate School. It's in Monterey, California. It's a military school for graduate military personnel wanting to pursue a master's degree. So if you're in the military, you have a BS degree, you can go to MPS and get your master's or your PhD. It's a world-renowned institute. Like, they do a lot of research and a lot of like crazy good stuff over there. So anyway, so I worked at the Zabrowski Institute, which is like the computer science part of the MPS. It's an institute within MPS. Okay, so my internship was with Albert Barreto. He is a research associate there at MPS. He works in a cloud computing and virtualization lab. So while I was there, I did a lot of VM maintenance, worked with ESXi, rack restructure. I did some solder, learned how to solder, and I worked with Corey. So for VM maintenance, so basically, do you guys know what a VM is? Do you guys know what VMware, a virtual machine is? So it's basically, let's say, so you have a bunch of computers here, and you have one server. So if you wanted to access your desktop from work or your desktop at work from home, you could log into this network, and the same desktop would appear at this wherever you're at. So it makes it convenient and efficient to have your data stored in one place and be able to access it from anywhere. VMs are kind of treated like a regular computer. You have to install software, you have to do maintenance, you have to do updates, like your Windows updates. So if you guys are familiar with VMware, that's kind of the software that manages your VMs. So ESXi is another software that helps manage VMs. This is where you can configure anything from like IP addresses. It controls anything having to do with the virtual machine. And that picture there is kind of like the menu of how when you like log in. So yeah, that's me. In the lab, there's a bunch of servers, and basically that's what you see is a bunch of cables. I mean, it looks messy. Like, I don't know what went to where. It was completely like, what am I supposed to do with this? So what we did is that you have to take everything out, disconnect every single cable there, right? And then put it all together back in a different order, and then figure out where each cable goes. So before I started there, I had no idea what went to where, what the meaning or what the purpose of any of these cables were. At the end of the summer, I had like a really good like idea of what each cable meant. I gave like this example of when you type in like a web address in your browser, it just works, but there's a lot behind it that goes on. Like, there is someone sitting there plugging like cables in for it to work. So it was a lot of hands-on experience, and it was I look like I'm having fun, right? Okay, another thing I learned how to do is soldering. So the thing with this was that like my mentor was talking to one of his colleagues, and they had like 200 of these hard drive cards, right? And they wanted to throw them away. Like, it would end up costing them like $200 a piece if they just to replace them. And the thing that was wrong with the cards is they had 2 bag capacity on them. So they said, you know what, we have 3 interns, make them sit down and solder 2 new capacitors on there. So we sat there for like weeks and weeks soldering these 2 capacitors, and I think out of like the 200 cards, I think like 12 of them didn't work or something like that. But other than that, it basically saved them. I mean, they have a lot of, you know, more important things to do. So the fact that we, you know, were there, they like loved it. So yeah, they were really happy about that. It was really fun. It was tedious, but I know how to solder now. Let's see, chloride. So the objective that my mentor had is what they're trying to do is that they're trying to have make a virtualized classroom so that it's more efficient to have somebody in the military log in from if they're like in Germany or something and be able to take a class while they're there and not literally have to take somebody in the military, bring them over to Monterey, have them stay there for 2 years and have them go to school to get their master's. So what they're trying to do is get this Corrid is like this storage for a lot of all the VMs, and they want to have like thousands and thousands of VMs to be able to put on this network so that if there's military personnel out in the world, they can log in and they can take a class virtually, like literally get their master's degree from Germany or from wherever they're at. It's just more efficient, and that was what he was working on, and my experience at MPS. So overall, I think my experience at MPS was like the best ever. I learned a lot from it. It looks awesome when you tell somebody that you're trying to get hired from or something like, I worked at MPS doing this, this, and that. It's just like amazes them. I have a greater confidence when it comes to working with networking equipment. It's what the field I want to go into, and being around it and hearing the terms and seeing that everything I learned in class kind of does get applied in the real world. It kind of gives you a boost, like, all right, I didn't take classes just for nothing. Like, I'm taking these classes and this stuff gets used. And working at MPS, it's a really professional environment. It's like it is, when it comes down to it, it is like a military facility. So working around like professionals and people who are really, really smart, and you just kind of figure out that they're kind of regular people and they're all like in one purpose trying to do like the same thing. It just kind of makes you think like, you know, I could do this. So what's to come? So I want to continue my research at MPS through the UROC program at CSUMB. I want to get my bachelor's at CSUMB in CSIT. And I probably want to go to grad school for sure. And I want to get a job in my field to make money. And these are like the people I want to acknowledge. I guess Hartnell, MPS for sure, the UROC program, and CSUMB.
We'll sort of take a little pause in the middle here for questions for Cassie as Juan's getting set up for his piece. So, do we have any questions for Cassie? Go ahead.
Like, how much previous experience was required for you to obtain that specific internship position?
Okay, well, my internship was me and then 2 other students, right? It was another Hartnell student and a high school student. So from all 3 of us, I was the only one that had took the networking 121A class with Joe. So out of all 3, I was the one with the most experience. They had none and they did awesome. So none? You know, I guess is the answer? Oh.
Other questions?
Yeah. No. Go. No. So in one of my slides, I talked about Science 124. So I wouldn't have been able to get to the internship that I had without it being in that class. That class prepares you. I don't know if you guys have heard about it, but it prepares you to work in a professional environment, like things like resumes and just how to make a poster or things like that. It's really important, so I recommend you guys take it.
That class is at Hartnell?
That class is at Hartnell. It's offered every spring. It's a 1-unit class. They meet once a week, like at 6 or something like that. And it's not difficult. It's just, you know, it's more for you to learn how to be a professional.
And the major that you're at CSUMB, there's like a couple different majors that are very similar.
Concentrations. Do you mean concentrations? So
there's like computer computer science and internet or information systems. And
Yeah.
Like, can you
So-
explain that a little bit?
Yeah, so when you go to CSUMB, you could be a computer science, information technology major or a computer science, computer design major. So the computer design major, it's more into like making things pretty and design and things like that. In computer science, I know there's a emphasis, which is information technology, networking and security, software engineering, and game development. There's one for game development, yeah. So those are the four emphases on the side of IT. On computer design, there's three, I think, that I'm not really too familiar with it because that's not my major. So, any more questions? No?
Okay, so let's thank Cassie once more. And I think that'll serve as a nice welcome to Juan, that Andy gave a nice general welcome. So I don't want to say too much about Juan, other than he's also a Hartnell alum, and he's currently at CSUMB, and he was kind enough to come speak to us today about his experiences at Hartnell, transferring CSUMB, and also at Naval Postgraduate School. So thank you for your attention.
All right, hello everybody. So welcome to the, first STEM Diversity Social. My name is Juan Hernandez, and today I'm going to talk to you about my research experience at MPS. But first, I'm going to talk to you guys about a little bit about myself. So I graduated from Soledad High School in 2005. That was a way long time ago. So I came to Hartnell College from 2005 to 2007. I didn't really have an idea of what I wanted to do. So just taking random classes. So after 2007, I kind of got tired of the way. So I just took a break from the workforce and, probably went to work in the fields, and then later got a job at Laser Devices here in Monterey. But during that time, during the workforce, I had no degree. I'm a musician, so I was constantly in some bands, and I played some shows around the area. But there's no income in it. You don't really make money. I mean, there was a time when I played a show in Fresno, but we paid our own. We paid for the gas, and then when we went over there, they only gave us $50, which was the gas to come back home. So it's yeah. So it was pretty much going nowhere. So then, while I was working at Laser Devices, I came back to Hartnell, came back part-time, and I took night classes. And it was in the other classroom on the opposite side, I took a sociology class, and one of my instructors was asking students oh, what's your hobby and stuff, and then I said, oh, I'm a musician. So then he's all oh, you know what? I have a buddy in the military who's a musician, and he is an excellent programmer. He can see the way that he sees music in his head is the way he sees programming. And the way that I thought about it was that, well, sheet music is kind of like code for musicians, right? You read the instructions and you perform it. It's the same thing with a computer. You put a set of instructions, code, and then the computer will pretty much follow. So I decided to do computer science. I quit my job and then just said, you know what, I'm going to go all in. So sorry about that. So I'm going to go all in and just going to just major in computer science, specifically going into programming. So I came into Hartnell and I wanted to really learn a lot about it. So even though I was barely learning the languages, I became a tutor. So I was a tutor for all the 2 years that I was at Hartnell. And then I just graduated this spring. And then, so now I'm going to go what I actually did during the summer. Okay, so at MPS, my project was to have a customizable card creator for educational games. It is under the Zabrowski Institute, and the professors from there were Dr. Zachary Peterson and Dr. Mark Landry. They were both my, even though Dr. Zachary Peterson was my main mentor, Mark Landry was still part of the team, so he played a big part in it. So their project is called Tabletop Security, which is a research project to create non-digital games that help teach network security concepts. One of their board games is called Doxed, spelled D0X3D, but you just read it as Doxed. And the game itself is a board game where players take role of hackers who must work cooperatively to pretty much retrieve 4 types of important information in order to win. And the board can pretty much patch itself just as a real network can. So if you're so the only way to win is to get that information before the board kicks you out or the network kicks you out and you lose. So as you can see on the picture on the right, there's no real cards for docs. They're just like pieces of cardboard with text on them. So my goal was to create that. So the goal was to create a card creator that was cloud-based, so it was all on the internet. It was robust, meaning that the code had to be well written, no bugs, and then it had to be expandable for anybody that got their hands on it would be able to expand on the customizations. And it should be able to accommodate any subject area, not just computer science games. So if you came up with a physics game, you would be able to create templates for your own board game. Okay, so the structure of the web application was that you have a user interface, and then the UI logic, and then we're going to the card creator itself, which was made kind of like 3 parts, which was the graphics engine, the template, and the card creator. So I went in knowing nothing about programming and for the internet. I was used to creating, C++ applications and Python applications, but it was just all console-based, just text-based. So I didn't know HTML, I didn't know JavaScript, jQuery, all those. I especially didn't know any PHP. But my strong C++ background kind of helped me learn PHP a little bit quicker because a lot of the syntax for it was kind of like the same. So the user interface was created with HTML, CSS. The user interface logic was HTML, JavaScript, jQuery, and Ajax. And then on the server side, it's all PHP code. So the way it works was that the user interface is what the user would see. It's everything, all the pretty things on the website. The UI logic would get all like the new customizations from a user, and then it will send it to the server. So what the card creator does is that it gets those new settings, and it gets a template, and then it pretty much puts them together, sends it to the graphics engine, and it creates a card, and then sends it back to the card creator, which sends it back to the user interface. So it's a little bit confusing, but hopefully the flowchart kind of helps. So this is a demo that I created for the docs, for the roll card. So as you can see here, they're able to edit the title, and then here they're able to change the color of that border image and upload an image and preview it before they commit to it. And description box, which you can type any text and it will show up right here. The thing about Ajax was that every time they entered something, it was updated immediately, so they would be able to see the changes like right when they made them. Okay, so on the server side, as I mentioned, it was the card creator, the template, and the graphics engine. It was all in PHP. So in PHP has a library which allows you to create images dynamically. So these images will be used as objects, and the way that I implemented this card creator was a object-oriented implementation, layer images, objects to form a final card. So before cards were created, we actually before I wrote any code, I had to think about how are these cards going to be created? What's the best way to make something so customizable and make it look how you want it to look? So we had to identify parts of a card. As you can see, you have a frame, which has a background image and a border. You have a title, you have a main image, you have flavored text, and you have description. Sometimes you look at a Yu-Gi-Oh card or a Magic the Gathering card, and you just see it and you're like, hey, that looks really cool, but you don't really think about the little elements that they're made out of. So as you can see, you have a title right there, main image, and then description box, and then some flavored text. So as you can see here, I have flavored text, and it has a background and a border. So the way that the code has to be structured was so that I didn't have to write any extra code. It had to be so that it was easy to manage, and you don't want to write duplicate code. It just wastes a lot of time, and it's just harder to manage. So what we had to do was create a class hierarchy, which is you have to see what elements are common with all these classes or objects, or in this case images. So at the top we have a frame, which is background and border. The text can also have that, and then the title can also have all these. A title has text and a frame. Description box can have a, obviously it has text and it has a frame and a background image. So, for example, and the way there was a thing that I learned that was new to me, which was something called inheritance, which allows this to make it possible for you not to rewrite all the code. So, for example, inheritance example. For example, you have a mammal, and then they're warm-blooded, right? So then you have something like a dog extends mammal. It already inherits the warm-blooded part, and you're adding that it chases tail, right? So it inherits those parts. So then you have a husky extends dog, so it already includes the warm-blooded chases tail, but it's a chick magnet, right? So as you can see, I didn't have to. When I wrote the class for Husky, you don't have to tell her that, you don't have to mention that it's warm-blooded or that it chases its tail. It's already included in these parts. Just the same as in here, I don't have to write the code for a background image for these because it's already written over here, right? So that's pretty much what I did, and I'm still continuing my MPS internship. So right now I'm redesigning the user interface. That one, the demo was just for functionality, testing out if the card creator works. So now I need to make it more easy to use, friendlier. And I just started going to CSUMB, and my major is CSIT, emphasis in software engineering. So it's all programming, staring at a screen full of text. And then I plan to probably get my master's, PhD, maybe. I'm not really into research. I'd rather have implementation of actual, that's just my preference. Maybe going to creating music software or something like that. So that's pretty much it for that. And I really give a big thanks to Hartnell College. That Sci 124 is extremely helpful if you want to get into them. And then faculty from MPS and worked a lot with Allison to make this possible, and Joe Welch, he's one of the heads for Sci 124. And I also want to thank UROC from CSUMB because they took over the funding so that I'm able to continue the internship while I go to CSUMB. So yeah, that's pretty much it from the presentation.
I have a question. So when that project is finished, the one that you're working on right now, is MPS gonna kind of license that out? I forgot what it was called, but it's a free license where you can pretty much use it for educational purposes. So that if you're part of the physics club and you guys create your own board game, you can use it, create your own templates for your own cards, and make it easy. The main point was so that you play the game, you play dogs, and then you have kids go online and say, what if you had this new card? And then they would go edit it, and then print it out, cut it out, and then actually implement it in their gameplay. And for dogs, there's 5 or 6 different cards, so all of them are going to be customizable. And it's free, like I said, yeah. To answer your question, it was free.
How can it be used for different, you were saying you're using computer engineering for that, the hacking is what it was, but how do you, what type of cards would there be for math and science?
Sorry, can you speak a little?
What type of cards would there be, if you're doing the math and science thing?
Well, it all depends on you what kind of game you want to create.
Because you can create your own.
You can get the template and create poker cards.
Cool.
The point is because there's no such tool like a card creator for other people to make it easy for them to create and print out. And it's all cloud-based, so you don't have to install anything on your computer. which is the main goal.
Can you share a little bit about the 8th graders that used it?
Oh yeah,
Implementation.
right. So I think it was in, I forgot, it was a little bit in August. We tested out the game Dogs with 8th graders with a program called Cyber Adventures. And so we taught them how to play the game. And as adults, before we were trying to learn the game, we were overthinking a lot of stuff. Like, oh, what if this happens? Or what if this? How do you do this? What does an attacker do, like, on the network? But when we explained it to the kids, they got it. Like, they got the game like super fast, and they enjoyed the game. So that's kind of like part of like the excitement that if they actually had real cards, they would actually go out and create their own. Does that kind of answer your question?
So the 8th graders customize their own cards?
They would be able to customize their own cards, because even though they were playing with little cardboard with text on them, they still enjoyed the game. They became fully involved in it. They were like, if something like something that I like was a kid, like when the network was patching itself, if you're on a certain spot on the network, you may be kicked out. So when you draw the card, he was like, going, signs like praying and stuff like that. The spot where he was at wasn't going to be the one that, pulled out. So they got really, immersed in it.
So it can be used for like all levels of schooling, is that what?
Yeah, for middle schools, high school, college.
So basically what you showed us right now is like a template. You have
Yeah.
to design the game yourself.
That was one of the templates for a roll card for the game Dogs.
Right.
And depending on how so we have this other site. It's part of the same project, but we won't really do it until later, which is we just call the user interface builder, which is you would just specify what you want customizable in a card, and it will build it for you. So, yeah, something like that.
Any other questions? Okay.
Remember,
please go
just
ahead.
a point in, if you go into Site 134 and you get an internship, you don't have to know anything of what you're going to go into, because you will learn it
Right.
when you're there.
Right. So science 124. Sign up for it. So before you clap, a couple of comments. There's a list going around, so we want to keep track of the attendance here, and if you would make sure to sign that. The other comment is I am kind of making an executive decision, which is I'm going to pick a pizza place, and then whoever wants to show up from here, we're going to buy you pizza, and you can talk more about dogs and.
Oh, right here.
Cassie, there you are. We're going to talk more to Cassie and Juan. You can interact. There will not be. I won't be there. I'm going to come. I'm going to pay for the pizza, and I'm going to leave. So you guys are invited to interact, have a good time. But now I need to know where we should go. What pizza place should we go?
Check it.
Say again. Who what? Who works where? Jesus works where? Jesus works where? So he's going to cut us a deal? Is that what Okay, so you want to go to Mountain Lights?
The one right here.
The one right here. Okay, so does that make sense? Mountain Lights, the one right here. We'll meet up there for those of you who are interested and buy some pizzas. Now, the other comment is, it would be wonderful if you guys could come down for just a moment, and we'll get Cassie and Juan, and we'll pose, and we'll take a picture of our very first STEM Diversity Social. So come on down.